Well, hello and welcome, okay. Before career videos resume tomorrow, okay, into 2026, Happy New Year to everyone, first of all. Hopefully, especially in UK, this year's better than last one, but I don't hold out any hope with the current leadership in Parliament, sadly. Okay, focusing on boxing, okay, before I restart my career videos and delve back into past fighters, I thought I'd do one more little breakdown on a modern active fighter, okay, and this is the Japanese monster Inoue, who is clearly one of the best fighters in the world, whether you put him number 1 or number 2 or number 3 now. He's definitely up there. You know, people have different viewpoints on boxers. I'm not here to tell people where they should rate him or not. But what I am going to do is we're going to have a little dive into his current progress in terms of listing some information regarding his career. Yeah, thank you, Martin. Appreciate that, buddy. Same to you as well. So the monster Inoue, okay, recently beat David Picasso, okay, again to retain his titles at super bantamweight. So we are going to go through a number of little slides I've prepared, okay, featuring information on Inoue, and we'll take a look at his current progress. So when we look at the first slide, it's just a more basic one, okay, his title accomplishments. And Inoue is very accomplished at title level. He is a 4-weight world champion. Some people say that he should go for featherweight. I don't really see any need that he has to. I mean, if he does go to featherweight, you know, good on him. See if he can maintain his success. But, you know, he's already done enough. He's already been multiple time undisputed. So to me, grounding himself in a division and ruling the division, to me, would probably now be more important. You know, he's done the weight jumping thing, he's done the undisputed thing. I think ruling in a division is what will stand him in better stead as a historic fighter in that division. So Inoue at the moment is a 4-weight world champion, of course. He's a 2-weight lineal champion and a 2-weight undisputed champion. Not too shabby. Many fighters don't even get anywhere near that level of accomplishment. Now, the world titles Inoue has captured are the WBC light flyweight title. He then captured the WBO super flyweight title with Roman Gonzalez at flyweight. I'll add in between there. He then won the WBA bantamweight title. He captured the WBA super bantamweight title, the IBF bantamweight title, and the WBC bantamweight title before capturing the WBO bantamweight title, becoming undisputed. He then has also captured the WBC super bantamweight title, the WBO super bantamweight title, the IBF super bantamweight title, and the WBA super bantamweight title. So all in all, there are 11 world titles Inoue has won across 4 weight divisions. Now, as well as the world titles and the multi-weight haul, he's also been a lineal bantamweight champion, a lineal super bantamweight champion, of course. He's established a new lineal line, being undisputed, and he's also been undisputed bantamweight champion and undisputed super bantamweight champion. So those accomplishments there: 4-weight champion, 11 world title belts, 2 lineal titles, 2 undisputed titles. Not too shabby at all, considering compared to past fighters, he does have a very small career. Even to many modern fighters, he's got a smallish career. Many fighters nowadays just don't have large careers. Now, I've always said I don't really have issue with that. Yes, it can be a problem when matching their careers against careers of not contenders, but say more the great fighters from past eras who fought way more times, fought way more deeper opposition across multiple divisions. It can be a problem in rating fighters historically. But in the here and now, he's clearly one of the most accomplished fighters of the 2010s, you know, along with his other luminaries, Crawford, Canelo, etc., Usyk amongst them. So there's his basic title accomplishments, okay? So when we go on to the next slide, okay, we see his title fight record slide. Now, Inoue has a very impressive title fight record. He's unbeaten in 27 title fights, so he's had 27 world title fights. That's quite an incredible number, really, considering his short career total. Now, he's unbeaten in there, no draws, so 27 straight wins, and Inoue has made 23 title defences. Now, one thing I will add on Inoue that some people don't realise is Inoue has been unbeaten for so long at title level and had so many title fights. A lot of people don't realise that if Inoue has 5 more title fights remaining unbeaten, and defends those titles 5 more times, he will set new alphabet era records. He's very close. The Alphabet Era record for title fight wins is, of course, Julio Cesar Chavez with 31. Inoue's only 4 shy of that now, of matching Chavez's Alphabet Era record for title fight wins, and he's only 4 defenses shy of matching Chavez and Omar Andres Narvaez's Alphabet Era record of 27 title defenses. So Inoue is very close, and he's fighting quite regular for a modern fighter. So if Inoue can last another 18 months to 2 years, cram 5 fights in that time, win them, defend his titles, Inoue can set Alphabet Era records in both title fight wins and title defences, which historically will stand him in greater stead. So that aside, let's look at Inoue's title fights by division. Now at light flyweight, Inoue only had 2 world title fights. Of course, he's unbeaten, so he won them both. Inoue is also unbeaten in 8 title fights at super flyweight. He's unbeaten at 9 in bantamweight, and he's currently unbeaten in 8 at super bantamweight. So he's unbeaten in world title fights, unbeaten in title fights across 4 divisions. Now, looking at the unified title fights and undisputed title fights, he had 0 unified title fights or undisputed title fights at light flyweight, and likewise at super flyweight he also had 0 unified title fights and 0 undisputed title fights. But from bantam up, that's where it changes for Inoue. Inoue has had 6 unified bantamweight title fights. That's where he held more than 1 belt, or fought and captured, so he had more than 1 belt. Okay, Inoue made 5 defences of unified titles at bantamweight, and in terms of undisputed title fights, he had 1 undisputed title fight at bantamweight. He didn't defend that before going on to super bantamweight. So 6 unified title fights with 5 defences at bantamweight and 1 undisputed title fight with no defences at bantamweight. So when we go to super bantamweight, okay, Inoue has had 1 unified title fight. Of course, he made no defences because his next fight he became undisputed. So Inoue at super bantamweight so far has had 7 undisputed title fights, and he has made 6 undisputed title defences. Now, one reason why I say this is impressive, as well as him being close to matching those era records and potentially beating those era records, if he has 3 fights next year, then basically he'll be 1 fight away from matching it and only 2 fights away from beating both records. But also the manner of being undefeated in title fights across multiple divisions and the high number of title fights, because some fighters who jump divisions, they're not having 8 or 9 title fights in a division. Sometimes, they'll go up, they'll have a fight, win a belt, unify another belt, or they'll go up and capture a world title, make 1 defence, jump up another weight, capture a title, jump up another weight, capture a title, make 2 defences. It's very rare, even nowadays, for a lot of weight jumpers. Some weight jumpers do hang around and build little runs at weights, but many others just jump around like to quote a writer in regards to Bobby Dobbs against Barbados Joe Walcott, he was up in round ring like a flea trapped on a hot skillet. So, they jump around all the time. But Inoue's now seemed to semi-settle at bantamweight after shorter runs at light flyweight and a good run at super flyweight, but with no unified title fights. He seemed to settle more at bantamweight, cleaned up the division, had unified and undisputed title fights, and then at super bantamweight he's carried on the trend. Now, if Inoue does maintain his run at super bantamweight and has another 4 or 5 super bantamweight fights and then says, yep, I'm done, he could run into double figures in undisputed title defences at super bantamweight, which historically in division would put him in a very, very high category. So that is the information on Inoue's basic title fight record. We'll see what he does over the coming year, but he is very active for a top level fighter. He's not having 1 fight a year, he's fighting much more regular than that, and he's building his stats and his runs up very impressively. Like I say, if I were Inoue, I would go another 2 years, I would get 5 fights in and try and beat both of those Alphabet Era records. So when he retires, he can not only say he was an undisputed lineal weight champion, multi-weight lineal champion and multi-weight undisputed and unified champion, but then he's also set those historical records as well, and those records, they've stood for a long time, and I'm sure they will stand for a long time to come, especially in the era when fighters are not fighting that much. If you can get 32 title fight wins with 28 defences, some fighters now are not even having that many career fights. Okay, so those will be records that could probably stand the test of time. So there's Inoue's title fight record information. Yeah, some very impressive figures there and some great accomplishments as well, and potentially some record-setting accomplishments up for the taking. So when we go on to our next slide on Inoue, okay, is rated opponents. Now this is twofold. Okay, we've got historic rated opponents and we have got current active fighters rated in the year he fought them. So historically, okay, Inoue against rated fighters has a record of 18 wins, no loss, no draw, of course being unbeaten. That's impressive, okay, in his short fight number of just over 30 fights. He's also unbeaten against top 3 rated fighters with a record of 12 wins, no loss, no draw. And Inoue is also unbeaten against ring champions with a record of 3 wins, no loss, no draw. And Inoue is impressively in his short career, okay, beaten 17 individual rated fighters, and also equally impressive is he stopped or knocked out 14 of those 17 individual rated fighters. Now that is his historic ratings, okay, so going by year, okay, so rated by division in year, so this means these fighters were rated top 10 or ring champion in the year that Inoue fought them. So fighting current rated fighters, now normally what you find is you look at historic numbers and a guy will have 37, and you look at the current and he has like 9. You get a big drop off because a lot of fighters fight fighters the year after they were rated, or 2 years before they were rated, or a year before they were rated. For Inoue to go 15-0 from 18-0 historic rated opponents shows one thing: he's fighting a lot of the current rated top 10, meaning he's not fighting a lot of fighters who were rated 2 years ago, 4 years ago, or are more naive and green and don't even get into the top 10 for the next 2 years. He's actually fighting a lot of current top 10 rated opposition, which to me is a good standoff. If I did this on Terence Crawford, which I may do, because this video may be a launch pad to every now and then drop a current active fighter in with this information. I'm debating on doing that. But yeah, it's certainly an impressive tally. The less drop off you get, so from 18 to 15, the less drop off you get shows what a high percentage of current top 10 rated fighters they're fighting. And I always give a lot of credence when they are fighting. I give credence for fighting fighters who've been rated, okay, because many fighters don't even get into a top 10. Many do, but many do not. So to say, not only is he fighting a lot of fighters who've been top 10 rated, but most of those opponents were current top 10 rated fighters is impressive. So rated by division, okay, at light flyweight, Inoue is 1 win, no loss, no draw against current top 10 that year rated opponents. At super flyweight is 2 wins, no loss, no draw. At bantamweight is 5 wins, no loss, no draw. And at super bantamweight is 7 wins, no loss, no draw. Virtually every opponent Inoue has fought at super bantamweight has been a current top 10 or ring champion the year he fought them. So there's the 15-0, but how does that break down into the rated opponents by rating position? So against 10th place opponents, Inoue is 1 win, no loss, no draw. He's not fought a 9th ranked opponent, 0s. 8th ranked opponents, he's 1 win, no loss, no draw. Inoue is also 2 win, no loss, no draw against opponents rated 7th, and 1 win, no loss, no draw against opponents rated 6th. And another impressive thing, not only about Inoue's numbers and the high percentage of current rated fighters he's fighting, and I can produce this information on all fighters across the rated eras right from the 1920s. I don't do that because my career videos would be 2 hours long if I included everything I had, but this is information here that I have on every single fighter in my database. Now impressively, fighting all the rated opponents is the super high percentage of those that were actually top 5 rated. So against 5th ranked opponents the year he fought them, Inoue is no win, no loss, no draw. Now against 4th ranked opponents the year he fought them, Inoue is 3 wins, no loss, no draw. Against 3rd ranked opponents, he's also 3 wins, no loss, no draw. Against opponents who were rated 2nd place in the year he fought them, he's 2 wins, no loss, no draw. And against opponents who were rated 1st when he fought them, he's also 2 wins, no loss, no draw. And he's 0s against ring champions. So from those 15-0, okay, across 4 divisions, he's beaten current top 10 active fighters in the year he fought them across 4 weight divisions. Now from those 15, impressively 10 of those, so 2/3 of all of those opponents were not only top 10, they were top 5. So not only is Inoue fighting a very high percentage of opponents who were not only historically rated but currently rated, 15 from 18, the large percentage of those were actually not only top 10 but top 5 rated. Now on other fighters I've got, you see a different picture. Okay, you see some fighters who in the places 6 to 10th, you know, they have better records. Then when they go into top 5, you see certain fighters who have certain losing records against fighters who are positioned in certain places. But with Inoue, it's actually the reverse to many other fighters. Not all. Many other fighters like Inoue also do very well in this regard. But Inoue has fought much higher percentage of his opponents who were actually not only top 10 but top 5. So that's another impressive set of information on Inoue there. So that is Inoue's rated opponents. Some very impressive stuff there. Unbeaten across 4 divisions, 18-0 historic, 15-0 current, and 2/3 of those top 5 rated at the time. That is very, very impressive. So when we go on to our next slide, okay, it's pound for pound information. Now, Inoue, of course, this will change over time. Inoue has beaten 2 individual pound for pound rated fighters. Up to now, he's had 3 fights against pound for pounders. And of course, being unbeaten, Inoue has a record of 3 wins, no loss, no draw against those pound for pound rated fighters. Now, his record against pound for pound top 3 rated fighters, okay, is 2 wins, no loss, no draw. And his record against pound for pound number 1 fighters is no win, no loss, no draw. And Inoue has scored 2 KOs from 3 fights against fighters who've been pound for pound rated. And he has fought a total of 22 rounds against pound for pound fighters. So his pound for pound figures are not that large at the moment. A, because often you find fighters from some lower divisions struggling pound for pound ratings. I understand why, but I'm not launching into a huge monologue as to why. Okay, it's nothing to do with size. Okay, it's none of that nonsense what people talk about nowadays. Well, they're not good because they're small. It's none of that nonsense. I could do a video 6 hours going through all great lower weight fighters. But there's just certain reasons, okay, it can happen sometimes. And people who follow me historic videos will see even some great flyweights were not pound for pound rated. And that is because the fighters in the more higher divisions, there's more prevalence. When you go down to like flyweight, bantamweight, light flyweight, you don't find as many you don't find quite as diverse a group of fighters from the main countries. You do get a number of Mexican fighters down there, less American fighters down there, and America historically has been the most dominant sport in boxing. There's certain reasons, I'm not going into it. Okay, but Inoue has also got so far another very impressive credential, and that is in his pound for pound rankings. Okay, Inoue was first rated pound for pound in 2014. So that means over the current path of his career, he has been pound for pound rated on and off for more than a decade, okay, which is impressive, and he's also setting him in that all-time great. I'm not saying he's an all-time great, but in terms of his pound for pound ratings, being rated consistently or being rated intermittently across such a large period, many fighters do not accomplish, but Inoue has accomplished that. So he was first rated in my pound for pound rankings in 2014, where Inoue placed 7th position. He was then rated, after missing 2015, he was rated in 2016, where he rated 9th place in my pound for pound rankings. Then in 2019, he was rated 6th place, and then in 2021, he was ranked 7th place. Now, for the last 5 years, Inoue has been pound for pound rated each year. So he was ranked that 7th place in 2021. He then won pound for pound number 1 in 2022 and pound for pound number 1 in 2023. Inoue was then rated pound for pound 2nd position in 2024 and 2nd position in 2025. Yeah, I don't do videos on my pound for pound now because all my pound for pound top 10s are gone, so I can't do the update video for playlist because the playlist was on my other channel. Otherwise, by now I'd have done a little video highlighting the top 10 pound for pound of 2025. But I've kind of unveiled Inoue was 2nd place behind one other fighter. So Inoue has been ranked for 8 years in my pound for pound rankings across a period of more than a decade. Impressively, Inoue has been ranked for the last 5 years on the trot, okay, and 4 of those years he's been top 3 pound for pound, and 2 of those years he's been pound for pound number 1 on the bounce. Okay, so while Inoue's overall pound for pound figures have room to improve, ultimately in terms of pound for pound ratings, he's not only been rated for longer than a decade, but a few more years he will be rated for a decade. If he can maintain his pound for pound ratings, he will join that rare group of fighters who can get pound for pound rated for 10 years, and that final empty boxes on the right are the 10-year mark. So if Inoue can get there in 2026 and 2027, he will officially have been pound for pound rated for an entire decade in my all-time rankings, which is putting him up in terms of pound for pound rankings only, I'm talking about, put him up there with mega names in the history of the sport by hitting double figures pound for pound. So there is the pound for pound slide on Inoue, and when we go to the final slide we have to look at the champions he has beat. Now Inoue also has beaten an impressive number of champions from his small career. He's beaten 15 individual champions and been unbeaten, fighting one of them twice, of course, Nonito Donaire. Inoue has a record of 16 wins, no loss, no draws against champions. Now impressively in his title fight numbers and in every other category you look at, Inoue being a knockout puncher, an explosive puncher, has a high knockout rate, and he has knocked out or stopped 14 of those fights where he fought champions. So he has got 14 knockouts against champions from 16 fights. That is a very high knockout total against champions. And the champions that Inoue has beaten are Nonito Donaire, who, to me, to anyone who votes on the hall, you have to vote Nonito Donaire when he comes up. Okay, Luis Neri, Kohai Kono, Stephen Fulton, of course, Marlon Tapalis, Jason Maloney, TJ Dehaney, Murodjon Akhmadaliev, Paul Butler, Ryoichi Taguchi, a very, very good lower weight fighter, Adrian Hernandez, Omar Andres Narvaez, of course, that joint record holder in Alphabet Era title defences, Jamie McDonnell, Juan Carlos Payano, and Emmanuel Rodriguez. So 15 champions beaten. He's beaten Donaire twice, so 16 unbeaten fights against champions, 14 of them knocked out. When you add that, okay, over the course of this video, from the accomplishments, 2-weight lineal, 2-weight undisputed, 4-weight champion, 11 world title belts, you look at the unbeaten title fight record, him closing in on those Alphabet Era records, 23 title defences, incredible tallies, unbeaten in title fights across 4 divisions, unbeaten in unified and undisputed title fights across 2 divisions, and you add that to the pound for pound rankings approaching that decade-long run, and being ranked for over a decade on and off, add to the incredible record against champions. That is my little video on Naoya Inoue. Ultimately, we'll see what he does in 2026. There's talk of some big fights for him. Junto Nakatani, potentially another fantastic Japanese fighter who I've been watching for years, and I love Junto Nakatani. What an explosive fighter he is. He's now a multi-weight champion himself. He's not approaching the level of success in terms of accomplishments and numbers that Inoue has achieved, but he's building his own brand. We'll see where he goes, and of course that potential fight with Junto Nakatani is mouth-watering. I watched that sit down where they were both sat down together, and both of those guys are killing machines. They're both explosive, destructive fighters, so if that fight comes off, it is going to be an outstanding fight, and we'll see who wins. But ultimately, for Inoue going forwards, all I can do is really give him a round of applause. Yes, he doesn't have the greatest career of all time. Yes, he doesn't have the deepest resume of all time. But in terms of where he's fighting now, okay, in the modern Alphabet Era, in the 2010s and 2020s, Inoue is now emerging as one of the absolute standout fighters across the last 25 years. You know, up there with Crawford's and Canelo Alvarez's and everything else. You know, we will see what he does going forward. But like I'd stress, if Inoue stays at super bantamweight and forgoes this push to make him go to featherweight, and if he wins there, make him go to super featherweight, to where he will eventually get beaten because he's simply fighting much bigger men and it'll catch up with him. Now me, I don't mind if he does that. If he does that, good, go ahead, do that. See how far you can go. If you get beat, don't really matter. You've already accomplished things. See, I don't protect fighters from that, but at the same time, the opportunity to establish himself at super bantamweight, take that super fight with Nakatani, you know, at super bantamweight, you know, rule there, undisputed champion, defend those belts, hit double figures in undisputed title defenses, get ranked double figures as a pound for pound fighter, try and beat those records of Alphabet Era title wins and Alphabet Era title defenses. He only has to have 5 fights. After that, he's set those records. He can sail off into sunset as one of the greatest super bantamweight fighters of all time, one of the greatest fighters that last 25 years. You know, he'll have been ranked pound for pound for a decade. He'll be unbeaten in over 30 title fights. He'll have a trail of champions and current active contenders destroyed in his wake. I think the future looks bright, and I think he should stay at super bantamweight. If he does wish to move up, good, go ahead, do it for me. I'm all good, whatever you do. But if you do stay at super bantamweight, okay, you've got a chance to go down as potentially one of the greatest super bantamweights of all time. Martin Dunstan, a great career deep dive with very interesting stats. Personally, I prefer fighters to be undisputed and dominant in one division rather than keep moving up, but I understand why. Cheers, BL. Yep, thank you, Martin. Good shout out to Andre as well. Good to see you, buddy. Happy New Year, BL. Yeah, same to you and your loved ones, Andre. I wish you all the best. Wish you and entire family good health above all. Thank you. That means a lot, Andre. And thank you. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you guys around. It really is. Happy New Year, Martin. Yeah, blah, blah. Wishing Martin a happy new year as well, and yeah, it's always great to see you guys. So this is a bit of a different video. You know, I am considering doing videos like this on Canelo, Alexander Usyk, Dmitry Bivol, you know, Artur Beterbiev and other top level fighters. In my current active fighters, I've added Shaki Foster, I've added Sebastian Fundora, and I've added someone else. So those monthly active ratings now are getting more fighters added in. So the next update to that will just be at the end of January. They will come every month, but back tomorrow. Okay, we're back on career videos. Okay, big career video push this year, but there will be potentially some more videos like this on active top level fighters. There'll also be the monthly updated top 20 current active fighter video coming every month, and any other content I wish to wrangle around that. And of course, at the end of 2026 will come with a career date set. That career date is now chosen. I'm not saying what it is, but there's a date set now where any fighter who turned pro before that will be removed from those rankings. So the top 50 greatest fighters at Alphabet Era, modern era, that comes at end of 2026 will be the one updated. Some of the older guard will drop out who fought before that date. Other fighters will move in, so that will be then set in stone. So that will come at end of year. Any other content through year I will add as needed. But yeah, big shout out to everyone. There's a little video on Inoue. You know, if anyone wants me to do any on other fighters, well, in fact, no, I never do that. I don't do that anymore. I'll have a think about it. If I want to do other fighters like Usyk, etc., Canelo Alvarez, I will do them. But what I will do to keep it consistent, I will do them exactly in the same style as this one. So people, again, I always like to do things in the same style. If I did a video on Usyk and Canelo and changed the slides around and showed different information, then I'm being biased, okay? Because I'm putting information up that can make those fighters look either worse or better or than they are. Okay, so that's why I always do videos with the same information. So any other fighters I do, you know, I will do in exactly this style, showing exactly the same information, so people can compare and contrast against other current active top level fighters. So if I do some more, I'm really tempted to do Usyk and Canelo and all these other fighters, you know, Nakatani, I really am. But we'll see. We'll see. But they will come when I do them. There's no rush. My main focus is career videos. But if I do some of these, there will be a nice big handful coming this year as well. So I will leave it there. Happy New Year to guys in chat. Happy New Year to everyone else. Tomorrow we're back. Career videos. I've had a bit of a break from them. I've enjoyed a Christmas break from videos, and now I'm chomping at the bit. I've got 27 career videos ready to upload and shoot. Okay, I'm working on others. So, you know, it's going to be a big year for career videos. Those playlists are going to grow this year far more massively than they grew last year, because I had a top 1,000 to do. That took up 3 months or 10 weeks. I was doing other things. I had to set other things up on channel. I wanted to get the ring graph videos done. They're finished now, so it's pure content grind. So I'll say Happy New Year, everyone. I'm Boxing Librarian. I'm out for now.